The Statue of Liberty, English, Statue of Liberty, full name Liberty Enlightening the World, English, Liberty Enlightening the World, French, La Liberté, éclairant le monde, is a colossal neoclassical bronze sculpture located on Liberty Island in New York Harbor, New York City, United States. The work was designed by French architect Frédéric Auguste Bartholdi. Its metal frame was made by Gustave Eiffel and was dedicated on October 28, 1886. It was a gift from the people of France to the United States. The Statue of Liberty is a robed woman, representing Libertas, the Roman goddess of freedom, holding a torch in her right hand and a tablet in the other hand with the date of American independence. The statue is an exemplary symbol of the ideal of freedom as well as of the United States itself. Bartholdi was inspired by a remark by French politician and law professor Édouard René de Laboulaye in 1865 that any monument to the independence of the United States should be a joint project of the French and American peoples. Because of the political turmoil in France, construction was delayed until the early 1870s. In 1875, Laboulaye proposed that France finance the casting of the statue and the United States build the pedestal and find a location for it. Bartholdi completed the head and the torch-bearing arm before the statue was fully designed. Parts of the statue were exhibited to the public in several international exhibitions. The right arm holding the torch was displayed in New York City's Madison Square Park from 1876 to 1882. Fundraising was difficult, especially for the Americans. In 1885, work on the pedestal was threatened with a halt due to lack of funds. Joseph Pulitzer, editor of the New York World, launched a fundraising campaign, Complete the Project. His campaign attracted over 120,000 supporters, most of whom contributed less than $1 each. The statue was built in France, shipped in crates, and then assembled onto the pedestal on what was then Bedloe's Island, now Liberty Island. To mark the completion of the statue, a grand parade took place in New York City. It was also the first time the public saw confetti falling like falling snow. The dedication ceremony was presided over by President Grover Cleveland. The Statue of Liberty is a national monument and listed on the National Register of Historic Places as the Statue of Liberty, Ellis Island, and Liberty Island, originally administered by the U.S. Lighthouse Board until 1901, and then by the U.S. Department of War since 1933 by the National Park Service. The statue was closed for major renovations in 1938. In the early 1980s, due to signs of damage, it underwent another major restoration. During the 1984-1986 renovations, the torch and much of the interior structure were replaced. After the September 11, 2001 attacks, the Statue of Liberty was closed to the public for security reasons. The pedestal reopened in 2004, and the entire statue was reopened to visitors in 2009, with a limited number allowed to climb to the crown. Authorities plan to close it for about a year, starting in late 2011, to install an additional staircase. Access to the balcony surrounding the torch has been blocked for safety reasons since 1916. Design and construction origin. The Statue of Liberty project was suggested by French politician and law professor Édouard René de Laboulaye in mid-1865. During an after-dinner conversation at his home near Versailles, Laboulaye, a staunch supporter of the Union in the American Civil War, remarked that if a monument should be erected in the United States as a memorial to their independence, I think it only natural that it should be built by the joint efforts of our two nations. Design copyright, Frédéric Bartholdi. Laboulaye's remarks were not intended to initiate the project, but they did inspire a young sculptor, Frédéric Bartholdi, who was present at the dinner. Because of the autocratic regime of Napoleon III at that time, Bartholdi could not carry out the idea beyond discussing it with Laboulaye. Instead, Bartholdi approached Ismail Pasha and the Khedive, king of Egypt, to present a project to build a giant lighthouse in the shape of an ancient Egyptian peasant woman dressed in a cloak and holding a torch aloft. The statue would be located in Port Said at the northern entrance to the Suez Canal. The sketches and model were executed as planned, but the lighthouse was not built. Historically, there was a classical statue erected on the banks of the Suez Canal. It was the Colossus of Rhodes, a bronze statue of the Greek sun god, Helios. The statue was said to be over 30 meters, 100 feet tall, standing at the entrance to the estuary, holding a lamp to guide ships. 7. The Franco-Prussian War that followed further delayed the project of building a statue for America. Bartholdi was drafted into the army, serving as a major in the Regional Army. 8. During this war, Emperor Napoleon III was captured and dethroned. Bartholdi's native Alsace was ceded to Prussia, while a new, more radical republic was formed in France. 6. Bartholdi had long cherished the idea of visiting the United States. After discussing it with Laboulaye, he thought the time had come to consult with American politicians. 9. In June 1871, Bartholdi crossed the Atlantic with a letter of introduction signed by Laboulaye. 10. Upon arriving in New York City, Bartholdi chose Bedloe's Island as the site for the statue, seeing it as an ideal location for ships entering and leaving New York Harbor. He was further encouraged to learn that the island belonged to the federal government of the United States, having been ceded to the United States by the New York State Legislature in 1800 for harbor defense. Bartholdi concluded in a letter to Laboulaye, "This land is common to all the states." 11. In addition to meeting with many New York notables, Bartholdi also visited President Ulysses Simpson Grant, but Grant thought it would be difficult to requisition Bedloe's Island for the statue. Bartholdi traveled across the United States twice by train, meeting many Americans who supported the project. However, Bartholdi believed that public opinion in both France and the United States had not yet warmly welcomed the project, so he and Laboulaye postponed it for a while, waiting for the day to launch a public campaign. 13. The Lion of Belfort by sculptor Bartholdi. Bartholdi made the first model based on a sketch from 1870. 14. According to the son of American artist John Lafarge, a friend of Bartholdi, the sculptor Bartholdi created the first sketch during a visit to Lafarge's gallery in Rhode Island, USA. Bartholdi continued to develop this sketch after returning to France. 14. When he returned to France, he made a number of sculptures that aroused French patriotism despite the defeat after the Franco-Prussian War. One of the statues of that period was the Lion of Belfort, a sandstone sculpture located at the foot of the Belfort Fortress. This place during the war withstood the Prussian siege for more than 3 months. This indomitable lion, 22 meters, 73 feet long, and over 10 meters high, is a powerful expression of the romanticism that Bartholdi later incorporated into the Statue of Liberty. 15. Design, Style, and Symbolism, a mural by Constantino Brumidi in the United States Capitol, featuring 2 ancient American symbols, Columbia, left, and a Native American princess. Bartholdi and Laboulaye pondered together how to express the American ideal of liberty. 16. They had 2 motifs to work with. Since the founding of the United States, 2 female figures have often served as cultural symbols of the country. 17. Columbia and Libertas. Columbia is seen as the personification of the United States, just as Britannia is the symbol of Great Britain, and Marianne represents France. Previously, the Indian princess was used as a symbol of America, but because public opinion considered it to be barbaric, uncivilized, and unworthy of America, Columbia replaced the Indian princess. As for Libertas, the goddess of liberty who was widely worshipped in ancient Rome, especially among freed slaves, this image was used on many American coins at that time. At the same time, Libertas was also popular in public art and popular culture. A typical example is the Statue of Liberty, 1863, by Thomas Crawford, located on the dome of the United States Capitol. 16. The image of the Statue of Liberty is also present on the French national seal. 16. Art in the 18th and 19th centuries often used the Statue of Liberty as a symbol of the just ideal of the Republic. However, Bartholdi and Laboulaye did not want to use the image of the Statue of Liberty to promote the revolutionary spirit, as in the famous painting of the Statue of Liberty, Leading the People. French, La Liberté guidant le peuple, 1830, by the artist Eugène Delacroix. This painting commemorates the French Revolution of 1830, with the Statue of Liberty waving a flag in one hand and holding a gun in the other, urging the armed men to advance, stepping on the fallen bodies. 17. Laboulaye did not sympathize with the revolutionaries, so the image Bartholdi chose as a model was the Statue of Liberty in a long cloak. Instead of focusing on violence as in Delacroix's work, Bartholdi wanted to give the statue a serene appearance, holding a torch in her hand symbolizing progress. The exterior of the statue should be general and simple. The design should be clear and bold, emphasizing a few key points. Avoid exaggerating or repeating details. If you exaggerate lines to make them more visible or enhance small details, you will ruin the overall proportions of the work. Finally, the model, as in the design, should have an overall character as if sketched quickly. It is essential that the features be intentional and studied. The artist, concentrating his knowledge, will find form and line in the very simple. 25. In addition to changing the style of the headdress, the model also changed other details while the project was in progress. Bartholdi considered adding a broken chain in Liberty's hand, but then decided against it, believing that the image would only serve to divide the North and South of the United States after the war. Instead of holding a chain, he had the statue stand on a broken chain, partly hidden by the hem of her garment, making it difficult to see from the base of the pedestal. Bartholdi was initially uncertain about what the goddess would hold in her left hand. He then decided on a tabula ansata, a piece of slate resembling a keystone, 26, which symbolizes the idea of law, 27. While Bartholdi greatly admired the United States Constitution, he chose to engrave the words July MDCCL 6 on the tabula ansata, linking the date of the Declaration of Independence with the idea of liberty, 26. After consulting the metal foundry Gadget, Gauthier & Co., Bartholdi concluded that the best case for the statue would be made of bronze sheets hammered into the desired shape using the repoussé method. In this method, the thin metal sheet is decorated or shaped by hammering and bending on the reverse side, 28. The advantage of repoussé was that the entire statue was relatively light, since the bronze shell was only about 0.094 inches, 2.4 millimeters, thick. He set the height of the statue at 151 feet, 46 meters, which was twice as high as the Italian Colosso di San Carlo Borromeo and the German Arminius, both of which were also made using the repoussé method, 29. For this project, Bartholdi enlisted his former teacher, the architect Eugène Viollet-le-Duc, to collaborate. Viollet-le-Duc contributed to the construction of the brick core inside the statue to attach the bronze shell to the outside,